My name's Roland Schuster. I'm the managing principal of the Schuster Group and president and founder of Tango. Thanks for joining us today. I don't know about you in the audience, but this is my fourth Zoom meeting today. And I've got 3 more to go. So sign of the times, but we're all staying separated and hopefully you are all healthy. So we have I think a really interesting topic to discuss today. We've been having these weekly nonprofit education series through Tango on a variety of topics that have been very well received. Seems like we all have a little bit more time on our hands to carve out and just engage with some forward thinking things to help move nonprofits forward. Today, we're fortunate to have Sean Kerr with us, and he's going to talk about navigating the digital landscape as it relates to the Google Ad Grant. Has a very interesting business model, does a ton of work with nonprofits, became a partner of Tango about a year ago, and I think you're going to like his conversation. Before we get going with that, I just want to give everyone a quick update on Tango. Sean, next slide. Next, yeah. So Tango I started about 12 years ago as a way to blend my business, the Schuster Group, which is an insurance brokerage operation that really specializes in working with nonprofits, but to tilt it so it supports the nonprofit sector better. And sort of a realization that capitalism doesn't have to be at odds with community support, that there can be a better way to do business by blending a business focus with doing some goodwill. And it's sort of this concept covered under this broad term of social entrepreneurship. And lo and behold, I found that there was quite a few other firms that shared that philosophy. And we created a platform to allow socially conscious firms to join Tango, share their knowledge, their products, their intellectual capital with the nonprofit sector, mostly with a business-oriented background. All of you guys are great at delivering your mission. What we're really good at is business fundamentals, and we're trying to share those business fundamentals to the nonprofit sector, all with sort of a philosophy we like to say of doing well by doing good. And when it's done right, a business can make money, and it's okay to do so. But it's even more impactful when you're blending your business to do good, if you will. Next slide, please. So one of the things that we just launched is, and this falls under the times we're in with the COVID-19 crisis at hand, but is a suite of programs that I just want to tell you guys about. We're getting a lot of good uptake and feedback on this. One is the Tango prescription discount card. So as we all know, deductibles have gone up. Some people are being furloughed or laid off. Some people cannot afford COBRA. Prescriptions are a commonly used part of healthcare. And what we've done is we've partnered with a pharmacy benefit management company to allow us to use their discounts. This card is free. Anybody can get it. There's no charge. There's no registration. You'll see the codes on the card allow for up to a 75% discount on your prescriptions. So it's meaningful. I had a prescription that was about $98. Using the card, it was $28. So they're real. You can even use it for your pets. One of our key associates in our firm had to get a prescription for her dog a couple days ago and used the card, and it worked there too. So this can be channeled down to all of your employees if you so choose, your stakeholders in your organization, anyone you want can have access to this card. On our website is instructions on how to get it. You can simply text it to yourself by texting 21,000 and writing the word Tango in, and you'll have a card. So pretty powerful stuff. In these times, we're just trying to help bend that cost curve. We also have aggregated PPE, personal protection equipment, masks primarily. We've partnered with the Kennedy Center, a big nonprofit, and they have an aggregated ordering system where we're buying 100,000 units at a time. And the price point for these for this equipment has come way, way down. So I ordered a few thousand just to give out to the nonprofit sector. So if any of you are in need of PPE, we'll have some here. They should arrive this week, and we'll be donating them to the nonprofit sector. If you want to order a larger quantity, on our website is the order form. And they will be delivered right to Kennedy Center in Connecticut. COVID-19 resources. We have a website filled with HR, legal, and regulatory updates. So there's so much information flying around the webinar or around the web that this is one stop. And a lot of our partners have contributed to it. It's a great place to see what's going on with respect to all the new regulations surrounding COVID-19. And then every week on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, we have a webinar with our partner NFP, National Financial Partners. We're a partner firm of theirs, and they're providing some great content. And then healthcare costs continue to rise. At the Schuster Group, we have 3 proprietary offerings for health insurance. So if anybody's interested in trying to bend the cost curve on that line item, we have some really interesting ideas on that. Next slide, please, Sean. These are our partners. Tango is free for the nonprofit sector because of the generosity of all of our for-profit partners. So they pay the overhead, so our nonprofit friends don't have to. Next slide, please. Yep. A couple quick stats. We now have just shy of 1,400 nonprofit members. That represents about 160,000 people that work in the nonprofit sector, which gives us the scale to negotiate preferred arrangements. We have 26 socially responsive partners that are providing their services to our membership. 3 regions. We have a scholarship program. We gave 2 scholarships last year. We are excited about doing that again this year. And last year, we hosted about 40 events. We're on track to probably do over 60 events this year between live seminars, webinars, and conferences. Real quick, our mission is really threefold. One is to provide education and training to the sector, workshops like today. So our intentions here are to make you better, make you stronger. Preferred services. These are delivered from our partner group. So they've all come to Tango with a preferred arrangement that helps save you money and move your missions forward. And then we have plain old mission support, which is Donation Depot, as well as our Tango Foundation. The foundation is to provide scholarships for the nonprofit sector for those people who historically cannot continue their education on their own. Next slide, please. So around the inner circle here, you'll see all of the services that Tango's providing through our partner network. So it's really an aggregation of high-end professional services. The people that are providing this or the firms that are providing this have all been vetted for their expertise in working in the nonprofit sector and their true commitment for delivering value to the sector. Next, please. Tango Trends is our newsletter that goes out to about 1,800 people that are in the nonprofit sector. And it's just a compilation of trends and ideas and information sharing targeted for the nonprofit sector. You as a nonprofit can also showcase your organization if you want. And I encourage you to contact Rob Bloomstone, our Director of Marketing, if you would like to be highlighted. We're happy to do that. There's no cost for that. Tango Nonprofit Method is a book and a teaching methodology that we published. It was authored by my associate, Jack Horek. He spent 35 years at a large Hartford law firm running their nonprofit practice group before he joined Tango. And it's written about all of the fundamentals of running a nonprofit, really from a business perspective. You are welcome to purchase the book. We will be doing teaching around this book as well. We even have a diversity bent towards this, where we're one of the issues that we have found in serving on boards and just talking to our nonprofits is that it's hard to find diversified board members that are exceptionally well trained. So we want to train them through our nonprofit method and place them on our member boards. So if you're interested in the book or the content, there's a lot here, and we encourage you to go to our website. So that's what's going on with Tango these days, guys. Thank you for being a member. We're very excited about what we're delivering to the sector. But without any further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Sean Kerr to do a little introduction on cause-inspired media and to take you through digital marketing in tandem with a Google ad grant. Sean?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. A lot of those new functions of Tango sound like some really great opportunities. Great to see those. So I'm Sean Kerr, the co-founder and COO of Cause Inspired Media. We're a digital marketing agency focused entirely on the nonprofit sector. We started 5 years ago, looking specifically at the Google ad grant as this really huge opportunity that we saw that a lot of nonprofits were not taking advantage of, or if they were, they weren't really getting that full value out of the program. We fast forward a little bit, we start doing well, we're reaching out to a lot of different nonprofits, seeing results with our programs, expanding to offer different types of programs, different types of digital marketing, specifically focused for nonprofits. Google was in the process of changing how that program worked, different application processes, different opportunities, and those opportunities were countered a little bit with new rules, which actually make it a little bit more difficult to work with. But if you can work within those guidelines, you can see a lot of really great results. When they were doing that, they reached out to us and a couple other agencies that they saw as actively working in the space, doing a good job, working directly with the nonprofits and actually seeing results, and founded what is now called the Certified Professionals Network. Now we're one of about 30 agencies worldwide that Google has vetted specifically to work with nonprofits. So today, what I'm going to be talking to you all about is essentially the digital landscape in its entirety for nonprofits, specifically diving into the ad grant and how it works, pulling back out again to how we can see success, how we can track success, what a good game plan looks like within digital marketing, and then taking a moment to apply that to our current situation with COVID-19. So if you want to go to the next slide. I have a few early statistics that I want to point out to you guys. You wouldn't be here if you weren't aware of some of this trend. We are moving more and more towards online giving. Since 2016, online giving has grown 17%. This is not a huge percentage, but as a continuing growth curve, we see that expanding quite a bit. Next slide. We're also seeing that more and more people are shifting to online giving. Now, these stats are a little out of date because this is 2018 numbers. Those are the numbers we have the best clear data on. But looking out at the world right now, we know that those numbers are much higher right now. People can't physically come to you. They can't physically donate to you. You can do some by mail methods, but your best bet to reach people and to engage with them in any sort of donation way is definitely going to be through online or digital efforts. Go to the next slide. Now, looking broadly at this, what can digital marketing do? What does this encompass? What are we talking about when we're talking about digital marketing? Well, digital marketing encompasses everything from social media to search ads to video, anything where you're engaging outside of a physical presence. It could be through an app, anything. And all of these core topics here about how you reach them, how you target them, measure, and respond are all going to be true to differing degrees throughout the entirety of the digital marketing landscape. But what's unique here is that it is different than a physical presence. You can reach a much higher audience, a bigger audience, but you can also dive very specifically through targeting to not just be a billboard or an ad in a paper that reaches a pretty broad audience, not necessarily the audience you want to touch. You'll get them, but there's a lot of waste there. With digital, you can dive right in, make sure that you're hitting the exact audience you want to reach. You want to target a specific demographic, people that have engaged in a specific way, right? All without, if you're doing it right, hurting anybody's rights to anonymity, keeping their privacy intact. The other thing that is highly lauded about digital marketing as a concept is that it's highly measurable. Unlike something like a more traditional media of radio, something like that, you can know who actually engaged. Did they see an ad? Did they click an ad? Did they do some action afterwards that actually mattered to you? Did they donate? Did they sign up for your newsletter? What did they do, right? The other thing I really want to highlight about digital is that it allows you to respond quickly. We are in obviously very interesting times, but times that are changing very quickly. The situation week to week to week, it can be completely different. And with digital, you can put out a press release immediately. You can change your entire strategy very quickly and where your budget's allocated, right? You can go to the next slide. So you all are a part of what I would call savvy nonprofits, right? You're here, you're thinking about this, you're trying to get ahead of this, you're spending your time researching, and you're shifting online. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be in this meeting right now, right? We're seeing a major growth year over year in online investment from nonprofits, whether that's ads, which is the specific metric, and also in web development, changing their sites, updating their content, engaging more on social media. All of that is part of this. And before I start shifting into some more specifics, I want to let everybody know that there is going to be a Q&A at the end of this. And as we start getting into some more detailed sections, I'd love you all to just chat in your questions. Stay on mute for now, but if you chat in your questions, we'll be able to have a good repository of questions at the end to start answering those. Anything that's maybe been going too fast on, anything that you'd like a little bit additional clarity. Right? And if we can go to the next slide. So essentially with digital marketing, the core difference is that we're able to capture the power of intent. When someone is engaging with specific content, we can remarket to them. When someone is asking for something, you can be the answer, right? This is very unique to digital because you can't change your message in print. You can't change your message in radio. There's a delay to that. So when you want to be the answer to people's questions, especially in the nonprofit world, this is really important to us. We want to be the authority for our communities, for our constituents. We want to be able to answer their questions and be a guiding light for them. And I think the clearest illustration of this is in search. If you want to go to the next slide. Clearest example is answering a person's question. This is more of a breakdown of how search works, right? The content above the fold, we're going to have a huge portion of that is going to be ads, right? And they line up, they're very similar to what the look of organic results are. So what we're trying to do now is make sure that your content, your answer is what people find. That's the point of those search ads. That's what, as we get into the grant, that's what the grant is going to provide. It allows you to make sure that your answer is out there. You're the one that's found, to enhance that credibility, enhance that awareness inside of your community and inside of your constituents, right? Now, a little bit of interactivity. I'd like to ask you all a question, and go ahead and put in the chat your answer. Do you put more time as an organization into your website and making sure you show up in results like this, or more into your social media? Let's give you all a second to answer that. Open a few, you'll go ahead and chat in. Now, more into the search, more into your content on your website, more in how you show up publicly in that way, or into social media. Anybody willing to put out there? Website, one for social media, equal. Anybody else going to jump in? Social media. Okay, so about 3, yeah, a lot more on social media. Okay, well, this next stat is going to hopefully change some of that. We can go to the next slide. Your dollars invested into search is returned in donations on average. Something that is not actually replicated in social media. For social media, we actually see 2 core pieces of information. One being that only about 7% of your traffic on your website as a nonprofit typically comes from social, whereas almost 50% comes from search.
Are you able to unmute yourself?
Outside of that, we compound that with the dollar figure of ROI that I mentioned. We combine those two, and you're going to see a pretty major difference. Oh, it looks like we're back. So yeah, 7 times more likely to have a nonprofit site from search than they are from social media. So you may want to start thinking a little bit about that. I'm a big fan of search. I think it's effective, and some of these stats are going to hold true for that. That doesn't mean abandon your social media. It's part of the puzzle. It's part of that landscape, but not always where the hard results come from. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide. This is where I guess we're out of order. Yeah, this is where we have that $1 spent on ads turns into $4.78 in revenue for nonprofits. These are from 2019, so pretty good recent data as well. And let's go on to the next slide. I want to dive a little bit deeper into what is ad grants. If you already have it, you're probably a big fan. We see this program as a really effective underutilized tool even today. So I'm going to dive into what it is, how to use it, and how to take advantage of it specifically now. So first, what it is. Let's go on to the next slide. The grant is credit for Google ads, specifically for search ads. You can't use it for display or search partners, but to get those ads that we saw earlier on the first page of Google, second page of Google, right at the top or the bottom of the page, what they do is allow you to show up for searches you wouldn't organically show for. Now, does that mean you don't have to put content on your website related? No. The better your content, the better your ads are going to do. The same thing as SEO. But Google has had this program for a very long time, since I think 2003 or 2004. It's not going away. In fact, it's been growing and having a lot more potential year over year. It does come with some constraints, though. If you're going to manually do your bidding, because it's all an auction system, you have to keep that under $2. But once you've done some tracking, once you've followed sort of the key success we're going to talk about, you can use automated bidding, and Google's going to let itself bid higher than $2. You're able to actually compete with paid advertisers, with bigger nonprofits, to be able to show for those things that are very competitive, very hard to show for otherwise. Now, like I said, it's been going on for quite a while. It's been over $9 billion given already. Over 115,000, and you can see this here, nonprofits that have received the grant, and it's very well utilized with larger nonprofits. Now they augment it. I'm going to talk about augmenting it here in a second. So let's go on to the next slide. How do we actually use it? What do we use it for? So there's a lot of different ways to use this. I mentioned earlier that we're harnessing the power of intent. So at the beginning of that cycle, the sort of the top of the funnel is to educate and engage, right? What do I mean by that? We're able to take people that are asking a broader question and get them to your site in the first place. They're looking for a spur of the moment question. They're looking for an organization. They're looking for a general answer, right? And you can bring them to your site. You can get them to watch a video. You can get them to maybe leave your site specifically for your social site to engage at a different level. Maybe you're going to get them to sign up for something or download something specific. This is going to help quite a lot for allowing you to actually move on to that next stage. The grant also, because it's search, we're answering questions. You can generate leads from this. And generate leads might not be something that nonprofits often think about, but it's a whole part of the process. Getting someone to sign up for your newsletter, that is a lead, just like a business wants someone to sign up for a free demo, right? So the same thing, this allows them to get into your funnel, allows them to get into your tighter audience, people that already know who you are, people that you can reach out to at will. You have their email, you have their social media, and you can push them a little bit further down the way to then drive donations, sales, and fees, right? The grant works with this too, getting people to donate, getting people to buy a ticket to an event. Events are especially valuable here as fundraising, though they all have to be digital right now. Additionally, you can push people into finding a service that you offer, right? You can answer those questions with your product or service that generates revenue for your nonprofit. Not every part of every nonprofit needs to be the free services that we're giving, but there's also ways to use this to drive people to find that as well. Whether you're providing something to a very broad range of people or fairly niche, because you can answer the individual questions with search. Right. So let's go to the next slide and look at this in a little bit different way. All right, we're still looking at these same topics: engaging, generating, and capturing. Right. Well, let's look at it in a little bit more context with a specific example. Right. So with an organization like Mercy Corps, we're going to talk about someone looking generally, like I said before, like humanitarian crisis. They know that there's a crisis in Syria. Maybe right now we're talking about COVID, right? So someone's looking for information at a very general topic. They know there's a problem. You can have a video that they watch. You can drive them there or to your social media to unlock that you may have some answers related. You're getting their attention at this level. Now, if we want to get people a little bit further down, they know there's a problem. They're trying to do something about it. They don't have someone picked yet. They don't have what they're going to do picked yet. This is where you can take someone that's looking for more like how to support Syrian refugees. They know there's a problem in Syria. They know that there's refugees. They want to do something. How do I support? You can target these exact kinds of phrases with search and specifically with the grant to get the right people to the right part of your website. We're not driving people to the homepage. We're not driving people just to your Facebook page. We're trying to drive people to the answer to their question. Their question here is, how do I support? Well, sign up for our newsletter. We're going to tell you how. Maybe you drive them right to your donate page. Finally, if we're further down that process, we're trying to capture the donation directly. We can have brand searches. We can have specific content about the donation. So we're going to show ads specific to Give to Mercy Corps. We're going to answer the question of donate to Syrian refugee. They don't know even at this stage who they're donating to as an organization. They just know they want to donate. So we can take that, give them the answer. This is how you do it. You donate to us, right? Let's give some clear examples of this. Let's go on to the next slide. There's a case study. DonorsChoose, you may have heard of this organization. And they started using the grant. And now 1 year to 500,000, that is a huge operation. They have lots of content, lots of content. But when you complement this, what you're seeing is new people finding them. You're seeing those 305,000 website visits in a year. We're seeing that they're targeting different layers. You're seeing people that are just finding them for the first time. You're seeing people that are donating 4.9 thousand donations in that first year. And they're also finding new teachers to propagate their message. They're finding 7.4 thousand new teacher registrations. Now, their option here, their strategy is to hit all layers of the audience. They find the new people, they find the helpers, they find the donors. You can use the grant to push people, like I said, all through the engagement, the capture, the subscription, all the way through. Now, if we're going to go to the next slide. This slide is something that I think everybody should take a screenshot of, right? This is the slide that for me makes it all make sense. This is at large the digital marketing landscape. This is what we're talking about. And it puts things in context, right? So we have on the left there, we have that engagement, the same kind of visuals, ad grants, paid search to educate and engage. We have video and display for the same thing, finding those new people, engaging with them. You have your PR and news, you have your social media, you have your events and direct mail. As we move along this timeline, essentially, and through the funnel, as we in the marketing world like to say, we see the different stages that ad grants and your other marketing efforts can come into play at different points. So we can use the grant and paid search to convert supporters and donors. We can use it to remarket. We can use it to drive people to the right content so that your direct mail can actually be useful, right? Instead of sending a mailer to thousands of people, you can send it only to the right people. You can email the right people. You can invite the right people to an event. This visual, I think, is always worth coming back to and thinking about whenever you're trying to launch a new campaign. Okay, everyone's had a chance to take a look at that. Let's go on to our next slide. Here's another case study. Samaritans is an organization that helps with suicide support. They have a hotline that is all volunteer driven. So our numbers here are really, really impactful. So they saw a 10% increase in online donations in a year from adding in the Google ads to supplement, and this is paid ads in supplement of just using the ad grant, using these things together. They also saw the biggest metric that you can consider in a volunteer-led organization is 1,700 new volunteers. This is how their entire organization operates. So this is a really impactful number. They're already using the grant. We're already seeing value there, and they were able to capitalize on what they saw as a learning experience without outlaying hard dollars using the grant, and then capitalize on that by augmenting it with paid search. If we want to go to our next slide. One more case study here that I think can put this whole using the grant, using related media, using the whole spectrum together. This is the Bridge Brand Group. Many of you may be familiar with them because they work, they are a nonprofit that works with other nonprofits. We've worked with them for quite a while now, using the grant, using a full digital marketing strategy. And they find nonprofits that are small to medium-sized nonprofits that need leadership training, education to be able to make it to that next level, to grow their organizations. That's the piece that's lacking. And they run them in cohorts. So we were pretty easily able to compare performance one cohort to the next. And we did just using the grant, very successful. They were very happy. They saw good results. And then a cohort where we did a much more nuanced, incorporating Facebook, incorporating paid search, incorporating LinkedIn, using that full landscape. And we saw a 368% increase in engagement. 36 new nonprofits going into that cohort above what we saw before. And this is not a soft call to action. These are not soft conversions. There's a significant outlay of money to sign up for one of their programs. So pretty impactful what you can do when you actually think about that whole process. Like I was saying just a little bit ago, with that full spectrum and knowing where to push your audience in that right direction. Okay, if we want to go to the next slide, I think we can get some core examples of how to complement these two things. So we have ad grant, it's $10,000 a month in advertising credit for search, right? And we can use this. This is another great slide that we can use to think about every time we want to do a new campaign, right? Where does our ad grant dollars fit and where do our paid dollars fit? So the ad grant, we can engage year round. There's no reason to stop your ads or slow down your ads. You have that $10,000 every month. You can promote evergreen content. You can find people that need your attention and need your content anytime. Whereas you can use paid ads to really get attention when it's time to sell tickets to your event, when you have the response to that once a decade moment, right? If you're in this moment providing PPE or providing some service locally to the public related to COVID, this is a clear moment. You need to change your strategy to get in front of people and invest those dollars. Same thing with generating leads versus cultivating leads. We have, as we go down that funnel, we can get new people that have never heard of you before to sign up for an email, register for a free demo, register for a webinar, right? And then we can take paid ads and do remarketing to take those same people and cultivate them, nourish that relationship, make sure they understand what's next, what's possible. And as we continue down this, we see the same thing with fundraising. We see the same thing with intent. This is where we started very early in this presentation. Capturing intent. We have search-based text ads, answering questions. And then on the other side, we can create it. We can have visual ads through Google's display network, through Facebook, that push content out, give people the idea to search for something in the first place. Now, all of this doesn't work unless we understand sort of the core process for digital marketing. So if we move on to the next slide, we've developed 5 keys to success as we see them. Now, we have these and we're going to go through them one by one, but just take a moment to think through these. We have to define success. We have to know what we're trying to accomplish. You have to have a story to share it. You have to be ready for that. You have to take the time and cultivate that story, get your messaging right. You have to invest the time. It can't be a one-off unless you're willing to put in the time and either have dedicated resources internally or hire someone that's going to handle it for you. You won't see success. You need to take back to the beginning that was success and measure it. And if we're going to be in digital, you have to embrace technology. You actually have to work with what's available. So let's dive into these individual pieces. Awesome. So defining success. So here's a couple things to think about at each level here. So identifying your target audience. Now, this is not, I want to reach moms. This is not, I want to reach teens. You have to think through a little bit deeper than that to what sets your audience apart. What type of mom, what type of teen are you trying to reach? Who is that, and what are they interacting with? What kind of content do they look at and care about? At the organizational goal, are you trying to build something new? Are you trying to expand a program, fill out an event? Right? These are organizational goals, and you can translate that into KPIs, key performance indicators. You can identify those and measure them pretty easily once you think about them up front. And then you need to establish a value for each of these. So every time someone signs up for a newsletter, that doesn't have a tangible, immediate donation value, but it has a value because people in your subscribers eventually tend to donate once you engage with them long enough. Let's go on to our next slide. Next, we need to share our story. So in this world now, even more so than a month ago, more so than a month before that, more so than a year before that, your website needs to be number one. You need to have clear, useful content. You need to have visuals that make sense, that convey your message easily, smoothly, and you need clear calls to action. I can be on your site and love what you do, but unless you ask for the donation, unless you ask for the sign up, unless you ask, you won't get the result. You just won't. So you need to be able to share your story as an organization, why you exist, why you're the best one to answer these questions, why you're the best one to serve this audience clearly and in a way that everybody can access. And I mean this in a lot of ways. You need to be visually clear and textually clear. You need to be able to work well on desktop and mobile. These things go together. If you're not available on a particular platform, that's a huge part of your audience that you're not able to reach. I'm going to go into our next slide. We have some specifics here. All of these are way different touch points, right? So we have your blog, you have videos, you have your email. All of it needs to tie together and direct back to your website. So we have your create a consistent, cohesive experience across digital touchpoints. That essentially should be your mantra moving forward. Think about how each of these interacts together. Make sure there's a connection, a clear point. The best brands have something that makes them immediately recognizable, and you can understand where the next step's taking you, right? So if we move on to our next step, our next slide. You need to invest the time and resources. So whether we're talking about the grant, whether we're talking about Facebook ads, Instagram ads, LinkedIn, wherever we're doing an advertising campaign, you need to take the time to get it right. It's so important to, at the beginning, when we manage campaigns, we front load our time. We manage things long term, and we do tweaks and optimizations constantly, but we focus a huge amount up front, because if you're not right up front, A, you're wasting money, and B, you might not even reach people in the first place. Google might look at your campaign and their algorithm decide that it's not even worth showing, right? If you don't take the time up front. So you need to take that time up front, and you need to have a dedicated owner. So you need someone in staff, even if you're hiring someone, you need someone in staff that it's their job to make sure that all of these touch points are working together and that your campaigns are successful, as they have these 5 keys in mind all the time. Now, if you have someone on staff that actually works with Google Ads, actually works with Facebook, those sorts of things, fantastic. That's a great start. If not, make sure who you're hiring to work with you actually has real qualifications. I mentioned before, we're part of the certified professionals community. This is, I think, a big deal because we're one of only 30 agencies in the world that Google says knows what they're talking about. I'm pretty proud of that, and we work just with nonprofits and work specifically with Tango at the moment to be a good partner in this space. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us anytime. Go to our next slide. Measuring what matters. This is one of the biggest keys in my book. You've defined what matters, you've started advertising it, but if you're not measuring it, if you're not tracking how people are engaging on your site or through your emails or any of these different touch points, you may be wasting your dollars. You don't know, but it's super easy. There's Google Analytics, which is free. There's Google Tag Manager, which is free. All of these work together to allow you to track everything on your site, from donations to downloads to signups, whether someone spent time on a page, if they scrolled down the page, again, all keeping privacy because we can set these things to be anonymous. But you can track all of these things and connect them to your donation processor. Off the top of my head, I know Blackbaud, Classy, FrontStream Artez, and we're working on PayPal right now, all have integrations that allow you to actually track your donation dollars all the way back to the click. So whether a specific search turned into a donation is something you can track now. So it's a hugely different world. The other thing, once you've got those tracking pieces, make sure you're taking a step back and building your campaigns around those goals, making sure that you're driving people to actually sign up for a newsletter, actually sign up to volunteer, those sorts of things. And if we go to our next slide, embracing technology is imperative at this point. Now, whether we're talking about Google, whether we're talking about Facebook, or any of the big players, almost everything about digital marketing now is AI driven. And if you don't have the measurement, you don't have those signals that you can send them, nothing works very well anymore. It's not just about you can have the best creative in the world. It's not about the creative as much as it is about leveraging the AI and giving that AI the right information to reach that audience. So you can use all of those signals, all of those measurement points, whether you're tracking the donation or the volunteer, and send that to the platform you're using. And if you do that, there's pretty tangible results. We have one last case study to look at on the next slide about this. Now, Google gives us one of, I think, the best automations out there, and it's called maximize conversion bidding. So once you've tracked, say you track donations, volunteer signups, and newsletter signups, you've decided those are the things that matter to you. You track it, you get a little bit of data, you send that in, and you can flip on maximize conversions. And what that does is Google is going to bid more in every auction if it thinks that person is likely to actually donate, sign up, any of those things that you've defined, right? And All Hands and Hearts is a great example. They had been using the grant for quite a while. They had good analytics. They had the data from Classy and Google all working together, and they saw a 5 times average donation value increase, right? They had an increase in, decrease in cost per conversion, and they raised an additional $15,000. Pretty substantial numbers here from just using the technology that's available, right? Now, we've talked a lot about the specifics of the grant and about the digital marketing world in general, but how does this apply right now, right? So if we go to the next slide, I just want to take a moment to look at this. How do I apply this during COVID-19? I think there's really 3 things to always think about in moments of crisis generally, and specifically as nonprofits. It's incredibly important as nonprofits that we speak with clarity, we speak with calm, we refer to normalcy. In the same way that you're going to want to match your audience where you are through your different funnel points, we're going to want to make sure that you're there at different times with the right answers. How are you able to reach those people? They have questions right now. They are going to have additional stress in their lives, just like all of us. But we have this moment to answer their questions, relieve some of that stress, and turn those people into long-term donors. You might not get it all right now, but because you're the voice of calm, you clarity, you have the normal, real answers, you're able to respond and get long-term followers from this. So you're able to answer, like, what are you doing in your community now? Talk about it. Answer that question. People looking for COVID-related content are often looking for very specific local content. How is my town affected? How is my county affected? How is this specific audience that you serve affected? Right? You can have those answers. Make sure to put it out there. Now, the other thing is, the next thing is finding opportunities. So as we're in a crisis, for-profit companies have scaled back dramatically with their advertising, with their dollars, with their available services. Now, there's exceptions to this. We're talking about, say, food delivery. Obviously, that's increased, right? The difference, though, is that many highly competitive, very expensive topics that we can't compete with normally during the year, during normal times, that are incredibly important to people to reach, are available because for-profit businesses simply aren't advertising for them anymore. You can find new leads, people that need you but couldn't find you before, right? So you have new opportunities to reach them. There's also entirely new user behavior. People are at home all day. They're being on webinars in the middle of the day. All these things matter, and you can find those new opportunities. You can reach them where they are now versus where they were 6 months ago. And the last thing is you can stretch your ad grant. You can stretch your budget, excuse me. There's two big things here. You have the ad grant as an opportunity. That's 10,000 a month in free advertising credit. Use it if you're not. Optimize it if you're not. Get out there and find those opportunities that we were just talking about. And moving your dollars to digital. It is much more effective and trackable than anything else right now. And you can only really be, in a time of crisis, you can only be putting your dollars into things that you can track and know that you're having the return. That essentially wraps up the things I would really like to say about this digital marketing landscape and how we apply it during COVID-19. And we're getting close to our time, but I definitely have time to hang out with you all and answer any questions. Next slide.
Great, Sean. While we're thinking of any questions, Sean has been very beneficial to Tango, and as members of Tango, feel free to reach out to Sean directly or any of our other partners on the Tango Business platform. As Roland said, our partners truly care about the nonprofit sector and provide exclusive programs for your nonprofits to thrive. So take advantage. Lastly, if you'd like your organization highlighted in Tango Trends, you can email me directly and I can put you on the list. This is a free service. It's great exposure for your organization. And if you're not receiving Tango Trends, definitely make sure to sign up for the newsletter. There's no cost to it at all.